Smash the like button if you've noticed that Dax and Cash Wheeler only become relevant when they attach themselves to legends like Punk and Edge and Orton and Bret Hart and Tully. You see a pattern here. Hell, add Jim Cornette to that list as well.
So, let's talk about Collision. I'm hearing that Tony Khan is trying to be more hands-on with Collision. That's why we've seen Big Booty, Timeless Tony Storm turn back into Timeless Tony Storm, because he wants Collision to be like SmackDown, where you won't be surprised if you see those type of moments on that show. And I respect that. Collision should be like their SmackDown. That makes sense. Just like Thunder. Collision should be like SmackDown and Thunder. So I do like the fact that Tony Khan is trying to be more hands-on. You are the problem if you don't want to see big-time moments on Collision. This is the second biggest company in the whole entire world. So it makes sense for them to have their own SmackDown, right? You talk shit about Collision, but then you want to complain that, well, how come Tony Storm and Mariah May, how come that segment was on Collision? How come that segment was not on Dynamite? Well, you talk shit about Collision. You are saying that Collision has been shit without CM Junk. So he's trying to step up Collision. So I like the fact that Tony Khan is trying to bring more attention to Collision. So let's talk about the first match. Simp Sabian and Nick Wayne's World versus Samoa Joe and Hook. What are my thoughts about Christian Cage as a heel so far? Do I think his act is getting old? No, I do not think it is getting old, because Christian Cage sucks as a good guy. What part of that don't you understand? Christian Cage sucks as a babyface. I don't know why. His promos go to shit every time he turns face. That's what I don't understand. So please, I hope Christian Cage never turns back into a good guy. I don't want to see a Edge and Christian reunion. Hell no, fuck that. Keep Christian Cage as a heel. I like where this is going. If it ain't broke, don't fix that shit. Also, people don't talk about this enough in regards to Christian Cage. He's a cult leader, right? If he calls a grown man his son, like Nick Wayne's World, he calls Simp Sabian his son, well, that means he's a cult leader. Those are grown men. We all know those are not his sons. So, by that same logic, he's a cult leader. So what was the outcome of this match? Christian Cage interfered in this match, and this match ended via a DQ. He attacked Hook, and he attacked Sloppy Joe. So far, this show has not been good. I'm going to tell you why. Because this match ended a DQ. Christian Cage, he attacked Hook, and he attacked Sloppy Joe. And this match did not last long, maybe 2 minutes. So I'm like, what the fuck? This was a waste of time. So let's talk about the next match. The next match, Mortos, the great Mortos, facing some jobber. Like I've said in the past, I compare the great Mortos to Hardcore Holly. He is a legend, an icon on Collision. This dude is a main eventer on Collision. They just give him jobber matches, but then when he faces a main roster talent, he jobs out. So in hindsight, yes, he is the new Hardcore Holly of this era, because they gave him a jobber match for nothing. You see, this is what Tony Khan Man does with his big men. Do you remember when I said that in my last video? He gives them jobber matches so he can inflate their records. That's how he treats big men. So when you see a big man has a great record, it's because he gives them jobber matches to enhance their records. So when they face a small man, they look credible. It makes the small man look credible when he beats a big guy with a winning streak. So far, this show is off to a rough start. The first match was a DQ, which was a waste of time. Then the next match, the Great Mortos facing a jobber, which was a waste of time. And then Max Caster, he comes out, and Roosh, he challenges Max Caster, and then Max Caster jobs out. This was a squash match. Roosh versus Max Caster. I'm telling you, this is a bad gimmick. Don't call yourself the best fake pro wrestler in the world. That's what Max Caster calls himself. And then Roosh came out and Roosh squashed him. This was a jobber squash match. So let's be honest, we will never take Max Caster seriously in this company ever again. because he jobbed out to Roosh. So his gimmick is a joke. Calling yourself the best fake pro wrestler in the world, and then you get squashed by Roosh in 1-2 minutes. You can make the argument that Max Caster, his career is on life support because he has no upside in all elite fake pro wrestling. His best bet is maybe going to Ring of Honor, but most likely I see him becoming a Collision icon in terms of being a jobber loser on Collision every week. That's his upside. Those are his prospects, becoming a Collision icon just like the great Mortos. So let's talk about the next match, that Magnum TA Tag Team versus Chris Jericho and Brian Keith. This match did not help anybody. This match was whack. This match was bad. This match was boring as hell. But Chris Jericho and Brian Keith, they were the one who made this match boring and unwatchable. It was not that Magnum TA Tag Team. Those guys are over. They have huge upside in all elite fake pro wrestling. I see them becoming tag team champions by this summer. I really like that Magnum TA Tag Team. They got potential, charisma, character, a gimmick. They are the total package. They can be the all elite fake pro wrestling's version of the New Day. I'm talking about the old school New Day. So who won this match? It was Chris Jericho and Brian Keith. Brian Keith, he wrote up one of the Magnum TA guys, and 1, 2, 3, Chris Jericho and Brian Keith won. But after the match, Big Cass, he attacked that Magnum TA Tag Team. Okay, this outcome made no sense. You pinned them, you beat them, so why would you attack them after the match? Where does that heat come from? That's no heat. You beat them, so why would you attack them after the match? This was bad booking. If you were going to have Brian Keith pin one of the Magnum TA guys, well, you might as well have that Magnum TA Tag Team beat Chris Jericho and Brian Keith, because this pin does nothing for Brian Keith. Why not have that Magnum TA Tag Team steal a victory by pinning Brian Keith? You don't have to pin Chris Jericho. Like, this makes no sense. You might as well have Chris Jericho pin those guys, but not Brian Keith. So, two outcomes could have been done in this match. Have Chris Jericho pin them, but have Brian Keith take the pin if you want to have Chris Jericho and his group lose. But why would you have Brian Keith pin those guys? Him? Brian Keith sucks, so I don't know why he got the pin. So, the next match, sexy ass Harley Cameron versus sexy ass Taya Valkyrie. This was a very decent match. This match was used to put over Harley Cameron, and I respect that. I respect the fact that Tony Khan is trying to push and feature Harley Cameron. That makes sense. That female has been working hard all year long. I see the improvements every week. So I'm glad that Tony Khan is trying to take notice of Harley Cameron. But I was shocked that Harley Cameron pinned Taya Valkyrie. Wow, that shocked me. Once again, Taya Valkyrie is a TNA chick. Tony Khan, he hates TNA people. I don't get it. He really does not like TNA. If you have a TNA stench on you, he is not going to push you. I don't get it. He has a grudge against TNA, and rightfully so. Hence why TNA has a partnership with the World Wrestling Federation, and they are doing numbers in the process. Now that is a great partnership. That's how you do it. You saw Joe Hendry, you saw Jordan Grace. That's how you do it. That's what a partnership looks like. The fact that Joe Hendry was in the same ring with Sheamus and fucking Roman Reigns, that's crazy. That puts TNA on the map. So let's talk about the next segment. Ricochet getting interviewed by Dean Ambrose's wife. This was a below average interview. It was a cliche interview. This dude was trying to explain the fact that why is he a heel? So he says all his fans turned on him the moment he got to All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. But he says that they were the same fans who begged him to come to All Elite Wrestling. He don't know why the fans turned on him. I'll tell you why, Ricochet. Because in hindsight, nobody wanted you to leave the World Wrestling Federation because Triple H is the boss. There's no more Vince McMahon. Your fans, they wanted you to leave during the Vince McMahon era, not during the Triple H era. Triple H did right by you. Triple H is more over than Tony Khan. He's the lesser of the two evils. And you left him? That's why people turned on you. You are in the past. Yes, 4 years ago, your fans, they did want you to go to All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. But that was years ago. Triple H was your boss. He was the guy that put you on the map when you was in NXT. And you left? That's why your fans turned on you. You never had a great fan support the moment you went to All Elite Wrestling. Because maybe you are living under a rock. Your fans did not want you to leave this version of the World Wrestling Federation because Triple H is your boss. No longer Vince McMahon. So you left very, very late. And second, you act like a jackass on social media, which does not give you any favors. So that's why the fans turned on you. And they blame you for Samantha Irvin leaving the World Wrestling Federation with you. So you brought this all on yourself. Nobody told you to leave the World Wrestling Federation during the Triple H era. I mean, listen, I'm glad that Ricochet turned heel. I do respect that. I called for it. I wanted Ricochet to turn heel because that made the most sense. You are not over as a good guy. You never had a gimmick. The past 15 years, you never had a gimmick. You was always the same flippy, dippy, bald-headed fuck. So I wanted Ricochet to turn heel. I'm like, bro, you have to evolve. You can't be the black Evan Bourne for the rest of your career. You can't do that. You have to evolve. So I'm glad that Ricochet is trying to evolve. Also, Isaiah Swerve Scott, he came out of nowhere and he crashed the interview with Ricochet and Dean Ambrose's wife. Man, Isaiah Swerve Scott, he outclassed Ricochet in this promo. It wasn't even close. Isaiah Swerve Scott was more convincing in this interview compared to Ricochet. Ricochet cannot act, but I do respect the fact that Ricochet said he is not good at promos in this interview. So I respect that. Go back and watch this segment. Isaiah Swerve Scott, he is so much better. He is so much above Ricochet. It's sad. It was like he took him to promo school. This is how you cut a back and forth promo. It's sad how Ricochet, he needs a dance partner. If Ricochet does not have a dance partner in his promo battles, nobody will take him seriously. And that's the problem. That's the main issue. That's why Ricochet is a mid-carder for life. He is very limited. And I liked how Isaiah Swerve Scott told Ricochet, this is not going to be a flippy, dippy wrestling match. This is going to be a fight. That's how you cut a promo on a flippy, dippy, bald-headed fuck like a Ricochet. Isaiah Swerve Scott, he saved this interview because Ricochet, he can't talk for shit. So, the next segment, Big Booty, Timeless, Toni Storm advertising her match against sexy-ass Mariah May for the Female Heavyweight Championship at the next pay-per-view. This was a very, very good promo. I am a huge fan of Timeless, Big Booty, Toni Storm. The next match, Kyle O'Reilly Auto Parts versus Danny Garcia versus Lee Moriarty for the TNT Championship. Like I said, I think that Kyle O'Reilly should be in the Death Rider BBC Club. They need to kick out Wheeler Useless. That's great booking. Who wouldn't drop Wheeler for Kyle O'Reilly Auto Parts? That's great booking. I take seriously. I take Kyle O'Reilly more seriously than Wheeler Useless. Kyle is more credible than Wheeler Useless. They need to make the move. So what are my thoughts about Lee Moriarty? He does have upside in All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. He's like a poor man's Jay Lethal. So he does have upside. He's a young Jay Lethal. Man, he should be in NXT. I think Lee Moriarty does have potential if he was in NXT. So was this a good match? I'm going to say no. This was a very underwhelming, below average match that I recommend you don't go back and watch. This match wasn't shit. And of course, Danny Garcia won by stealing a victory by beating Lee Moriarty. Just give the belt back to Jack Perry. Danny Garcia is the worst TNT champion of all time. You can't take him seriously. He steals all his victories. Look it up. He can't beat anybody clean. He always steals victories as champion. So what's the fucking point? You are not doing him any favors. So the next match, some new female called Megan Bane. Now, this chick, she looks like Camille's replacement. Man, I feel so sorry for Camille. I feel sorry for sexy ass Camille that she got replaced by a better version of herself, who is sexy ass Megan Bane. Now, I don't know who this female is. This is the first time I've ever seen sexy ass Megan Bane. But holy shit, that woman is very attractive. She has a great look. It's like she is a white Jade Cargill. That's who she is. She's a white Jade Cargill. You gotta go back and watch this match. Sexy ass Megan Bane. She has upside and potential. Who needs Camille if you got sexy ass Megan Bane? So Megan Bane was facing some jobber chick, and obviously she won the match. The next match, the last match of the night, the Death Rider BBC Club, Dean Ambrose, Wheeler Useless versus FTR, the Leeches. That's all they do is leech off of big names like Orton, CM Punk, and now Edge. I'm telling you, it pisses me off, right? Because when CM Punk left, these guys went back to the fucking mid-card. They were afterthoughts the moment CM Punk left the company. So fast forward, Edge comes in, and yes, they are friends in real life. So they want to latch on to the star power of Edge, and now they are back in the main events. That pisses me off. They are legend leeches. That's all they do. They leached off of Bret Hart, Edge, etc. Especially Bret Hart. That's all they do. And they leached off of Tully Blanchard. Also, you could make the argument that they leached off of Jim Cornette's star power as well. So the moment they teamed up with Edge, these guys are back in the main events on Collision. How was that a coincidence, right? They are legend leeches I do not like. FTR. Here's what I mean. When Edge got injured, FTR, they were afterthoughts. Nobody cared about FTR, and they were not in the main event scene anymore. But the moment Edge comes back, they are back as main eventers. That is so fucking whack. I don't like that. How about you stand up on your own 2 feet? Stop leeching off of Jim Cornette, Edge, Orton, Tully, Bret Hart. Hell, they leached off of MJF as well. So, for the record, this was a Mid-South street fight. That's what this match was. So, this was not a wrestling match. This was a brawl. I would say the dumbest spot of this whole entire match is Dean Ambrose. He brought out thumbtacks. So, he pours out the fucking thumbtacks on the ring. And this doofus, he gets body slammed on those same thumbtacks that he dropped in the goddamn ring. How dumb can you be? That is a dumb spot. The same thumbtacks you dropped off, and you were the first one to land on those thumbtacks. You are a doofus. The biggest highlight of this whole entire match was Marina Shafir jumping on the back of Dax Harwood, and he backed her through a table. That was great shit. So a table was stacked up near the turnbuckle, and then Dax Harwood, he backed up with Shafir on his back, and then he crashed through a table. That was a great spot. But this match was crazy. Tons of outside interference, like Edge, Jay White, Cesaro, Shafir, tons of outside interference. I believe FTR won this match via a power driver through a table on Wheeler Useless. And 1, 2, 3, FTR wins, and they continue to leech off of the star power of Edge. So, what do I grade this whole entire show? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. This was a very below average fucking show. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm done.